guys, so I thought I would jump on and do a bit of a wrap up for this competitive season. So it's currently, what's the date? Sorry, my Garmin's not telling me what the date is. I believe it's the 11th or 12th of November. We're 3 days out from my competition and got a third place finish at the Two Bros Natural Show, which I believe was the third one that they've done. I think they did one last year and then they've done two this year. Very, very well run show. It was very, very snappy. Like literally you got on stage, your quarter turns were very, very quick. They saw what they needed to see, they made their judgments, and you kind of got back off, which is what you'd expect from Two Bros. Like, they are a very, very big federation. Obviously they are associated with the IFBB, so what was on offer was an IFBB Pro card for the guys that I think came top of their class and then kind of went on to the overall. At the nationals at the end of the month, there's an IFBB Pro card on the line for the winner of that. So obviously at the moment there's no IFBB like Naturals League in this country, but what's an interesting thing that they said at the beginning of the show was that this is something that they're looking to develop. There is one in Canada, I believe, at the moment, so they are putting money into the natural side of bodybuilding. And what I believe you'll start to see in the future is there'll be assisted shows and natural shows running kind of like at the same time, either like it was at the Two Bro show I just went to, where they had basically the assisted show in the morning and then the natural one in the evening, or it may to work out as they do one on one day and one on another. It's the logistics of all. I'm guessing they'll figure it out. But it's very, very interesting to have such a big federation with such a big budget when it comes to marketing, taking such an interest in the natural bodybuilding side of things, because one thing me and Jake were discussing in the car was how like the BMBF and the UK DFBA don't really spend a massive amount on marketing the fact that they run competitions. So unless you go out there and look for natural bodybuilding, like, you wouldn't just kind of like stumble across it. Like, one of the biggest things in natural bodybuilding at the moment is obviously AJ Morris, and basically if it wasn't for him, I don't think many people would know about the UK DFBA. But anyways, that's by the by. Very, very interesting next kind of like 2 to 5 years kind of within the natural bodybuilding space. So if you are interested in natural bodybuilding, it looks like there's going to be a lot of money kind of pumped into it. At the end of the day, it's never going to be as popular as the assisted side because everyone wants to see the freaks on stage. However, I know I'll never be going assisted, so it's interesting for me that there is going to be these new avenues in which we can go and compete. I believe both the Two Bros and the WMBF had shows that came up this year, and they've both gone really, really well. So at minimum, it just means there's going to be more opportunities to compete, more federations to go and compete with, which, as long as these shows get people showing up, can only be good for the sport, because as I said, there's more opportunities. It's spread out throughout the year. It means that you're not like compacted into when you need to start your preps and off seasons and things like that. So, bit of a recap for the year for me. So I started my prep back in February 2021. I was initially aiming for like a 25-week prep to compete in August, September time. Looking back now, I was way too heavy starting that prep. I had 37 pounds to lose for what was like my true stage weight, but because me and Jake had never worked together, we didn't know what that weight was. We were basing it off what I competed at last time, which probably I just wasn't in bodybuilder level shape. There was more body fat to come off, so there was a lot of data. In the meantime, like, my mum's passed away, there's been some issues within the business, there's been lots of things kind of going on, but pretty consistently over 37 weeks, I've dropped a pound a week. So from the start, I was at 83 kilos. I think at my very lowest, I was like 66.5 kilos. So 83, 16 and a half, 17 kilos lost. So it's about 37 pounds, I think it was in total. very slow, very meticulous. Like there wasn't anything planned in there in terms of like refeeds or weeks off. I was pretty much on prep for 37 weeks, which is a big mental drain. Like I was very much ready for prep to be over, like at the end of that competition. Like even if I ended up getting an invite to the nationals, unless obviously if I came first in my class, then I probably would have done it. But it was one of those things. I was ready for prep. I was ready for prep to be done. So yeah, I've had a very, very interesting prep. I started with Jake the August before. So we did a recomposition phase through September, October. I think it was like 6 to 8 weeks. We dropped about 6 kilos. Then went into a building phase kind of like over Christmas. So started the building phase in November. So we did November, December, January, and then February is a building phase. And then went into prep. Like I made some very, very big, a lot of progress in those 4 months of working with Jake in the off season. So I had a 4-month off season. That's not very long for an off season. So I've actually decided to stay with a coach this time. I'm going to have Jake working with me throughout the whole off season. So he's now in control. Obviously, being a coach myself, I do have a bit of an input. Like the coaching relationship is always kind of like a two-way street. Like I will do as I'm told, but I'll also have input in terms of like some of the exercise selection, working around like my home gym. So if there's a particular movement he wants me to do, I will say, well, say for example, if it's a bench, well, can we use the Swiss bar or can we use dumbbells or whatever it is. So yeah. So he's going to be taking over. We're going to look to do a new plan in a couple of weeks, I believe. So the transition phase is this first week is like a mental recovery week. So training is in, but I train when I want, what I want to do, just doing exercises I enjoy rather than a structured plan. So like I went in and trained chest on Tuesday. I'm not going to train tonight. I've got a photo shoot tomorrow, so there's going to be quite a bit of training involved there, and I may train on Friday if I feel up to it. But that's because basically in this first week, food focus is way up here. Like all those things that I kind of was saying no to for like 9 months of the year. Things like I had a big pizza on, the Sunday night. Like we went out for breakfast because that's something me and Natalie like to do. Like this morning, like there's lots of little things that all these energy dense foods kind of coming back in. If you just drop training, drop cardio, drop all your steps, like you're going to see body fat spike way up, and that can really mess with you kind of like mental health wise. So this first week, it's just train when you want, train when you feel like. These extra food is going in. He's bumped my calories up by about 1,000. Normally, if I was working with the general pop, we wouldn't bump it up by that much. However, I'm at like 3 to 5% body fat. I need to very, very quickly put on 3 or 4 kilos just to get kind of some body fat back, so that my body just starts working properly. It's not then in starvation mode. My sleep pattern should then become better. My hormones should become better. I should get stronger, and I should just feel like a human again at around the 70 to 72 kilo mark. And then we can push on from there, going into my building phase. I don't like calling it bulking because I don't want to get too big. So we've got all this data. We know what my true weights are in terms of my stage weight. We're just this off season now is just about building muscle on my upper body. Like I'll see if hopefully there's been some photos, some stage shots of me kind of popping up over my right hand shoulder. But I'm quite lower body dominant. I've got big hamstrings. I've got big adductors. So what you'll see in a lot of natural bodybuilders is their legs look quite thin as they diet down, whereas mine is still quite chunky from the back. So if I can add a couple of kilos of muscle on my upper body, it's going to completely change my look, completely fill out that V-taper. And what's happening at the moment is when I get on stage with somebody who's got a big upper body and somebody who's slightly taller than me, like I look really small kind of in comparison. So main thing for us now is get my calories up, get me to health first, and then we're going to learn to look to build some muscle in the upper body. So I've waffled on for 10 minutes now. I hope you guys have enjoyed that. Please give the video a like and a subscribe. I'm going to try and do more like vlogging stuff in terms of like training and diet and supplements, all that kind of stuff, to be able to show you guys kind of like what truly goes into like a natural bodybuilding like off season into my next prep. So if you want to come along for the ride, like I'm next going to be competing in 2023. Lots of content between now and then. If you want to follow along what it takes to be a natural bodybuilder, like make sure you click that subscribe button, and I'd really appreciate you coming along for the ride.